50 Cent executive produced a Netflix documentary, and the reaction from other rappers quickly turned into one of the biggest and longest-running beefs in hip-hop in years. From Jim Jones to T.I., Papoose, and Dame Dash, dozens of rappers sent messages, dropped diss tracks, and traded insults. And now, more than 20 of them have reportedly left the country. After leaks and the announcement of 50 Cent's new documentary, the leaked footage and the upcoming release had everyone on edge. Careers could be damaged, reputations could be destroyed, and fear was running high across the industry. Before leaving, several rappers made sure to leave 50 Cent a message. Today, we're breaking down all of it. The leaked footage, the reactions, the diss tracks, and what this entire situation could mean for the rap world moving forward. To understand how we got here, you first have to understand what 50 Cent actually put together and why it became one of the most talked about documentaries in hip-hop history. In a 4-part documentary executive produced by Curtis, 50 Cent, Jackson, and directed by Emmy award-winning director Alexandria Stapleton, Sean Combs, The Reckoning is presented as an examination of the media mogul, music legend, and convicted offender. The series was released on Netflix on December 2, 2025. But this was not something 50 Cent put together overnight. On December 7, 2023, executive producer Curtis, 50 Cent, Jackson announced that he was developing a Sean Combs docuseries, and that proceeds from the project would go to victims of the sexual misconduct allegations against Combs. Before Alexandria Stapleton was even hired to direct the series, Jackson had already been working on the project for 5 months, trying to find people close to Combs who were willing to speak and tell the truth. That detail alone tells you a lot. 50 Cent spent months behind the scenes, before the cameras were fully rolling, making calls, connecting with sources, and reaching out to people who had once been in Diddy's orbit. Jackson, who executive produced the project, told NBC News in a recent interview that he had worked on the documentary for over a year with director Alexandria Stapleton, and according to those involved, the documentary does not hold back. The 4-episode series covers Diddy's rise to power in the music industry and his fall amid multiple lawsuits and allegations involving sexual assault, rape, and trafficking. Episodes 1 and 2 re-examine the East Coast-West Coast tensions of the 1990s, including the unsolved murders of Tupac Shakur and Christopher, the Notorious B.I.G. Wallace. Interview subjects include former LAPD Detective Greg Kading, former NYPD Rap Intelligence Officer Derek Parker, and Tupac's cousin William Lesang. But the part that really sent shockwaves through the industry was the footage nobody expected to see. The documentary reportedly includes intimate footage of a vulnerable Combs in his hotel room, surrounded by trusted friends and associates during what would become one of the most critical moments in his life. Shot with Combs' knowledge, the footage depicts a raw and unusually unguarded version of him in the days leading up to his arrest. At the time, Combs was under federal investigation and dealing with raids on his homes, lawsuits, and an avalanche of media attention, all while staying in a hotel room under enormous pressure. When 50 Cent was asked by NBC News correspondent Chloe Melas how he obtained the footage, Jackson replied, "I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources." And when asked whether Diddy even knew the footage was in the documentary, Stapleton answered with one word, "Perhaps." The director herself was clear about one thing, though. She explained the origin of the footage by saying, "It came to us. We obtained the footage legally and have the necessary rights. We moved heaven and earth to keep the filmmaker's identity confidential." And that footage apparently showed Diddy in a way the public had never seen before. After taking pictures with supporters, the rapper got back into his luxury vehicle and told those around him that he needed hand sanitizer and a bath. 50 Cent later remarked, got in the car, and said, I feel like I need to wash. Like, I'm dirty. It shows you his character. What's the odds that you would do that in front of a camera? That was one of those moments where, according to 50, he forgot he was on tape. So think about what this means. You have 50 Cent, a man who has had tension with Diddy for decades, executive producing a documentary about Diddy's alleged crimes, and doing so with footage that Diddy's own side reportedly says was stolen. According to Deadline, Diddy said Netflix's so-called documentary was a shameful hit piece. His camp also described Jackson as a longtime adversary with a personal vendetta. But 50 Cent framed his involvement differently. He told GQ his reasoning in plain terms. To be honest, just the culture itself is why I did it. If someone's not saying something, then you would assume that everybody in hip-hop is okay with what's going on. He went on to say that other rappers would rather stay quiet because of the position Diddy held in the culture for so long. In 50's view, if he didn't step forward, then almost nobody would. And the public interest was clearly there. In the 6 days after its release, the series was viewed 21.8 million times, making it the second most viewed Netflix title during the week of December 4th through 8, 2025, behind Volume 1 of the 5th season of Stranger Things. But as big as the documentary itself was, the aftermath is where the real chaos began. Because the rappers who took issue with 50 Cent making this documentary were not about to stay silent. They decided they were going to let him know exactly how they felt, publicly, loudly, and in some cases musically. And some of those messages were loud enough that the entire hip-hop world took notice. The first major group to publicly go after 50 Cent over the documentary was the crew behind the Let's Rap About It podcast, and they did not hold back. On Monday, December 15th, 50 Cent took aim at Jim Jones for criticizing his docuseries Sean Combs. The Reckoning on the Let's Rap About It podcast, which Jones co-hosts with fellow New York rappers Maino, Fabolous, and Dave East. During an episode of the show, the former Dipset member took issue with 50 executive producing a documentary that examines Diddy's alleged history of abuse, domestic violence, and exploitation. Jim Jones didn't soften his stance. Defending Diddy, he said, "You don't want nobody doing a documentary trying to make your whole character look weak. That's petty behavior. It's really not a documentary. It's more like a mockumentary." Now, if you know anything about 50 Cent, you already know that kind of criticism almost never goes unanswered. 50 fired back on Instagram and made it personal immediately. Then he widened the target. He didn't stop with Jim Jones. He went after the whole podcast crew. The G-Unit General also targeted Maino, Fabolous, and Dave East in a separate post, writing that these guys were squatters and owed money for the space they were filming their podcast in. He mocked their image, their style, and their finances all at the same time. And in classic 50 fashion, he didn't just write a caption and move on. He built a whole post around it. He started his carousel with the definition of the word squatter, added a photo of the 4 rappers and their podcast branding, and then included Scree. And shots of a news report about Jim Jones allegedly losing his home in New Jersey, along with images of Jones around Diddy. That's 50 Cent's playbook. He doesn't just respond. He packages the response. He turns it into content, into spectacle, and into public embarrassment. And the Let's Rap About It crew was not about to just sit there and take it. While Jim Jones, Fabolous, and Dave East had not immediately responded in detail, Maino jumped in and locked horns with 50 Cent directly. In a derisive Instagram post, the Brooklyn native shared an edited photo of Fif as a woman and mocked him publicly, turning the exchange into internet theater. Then came the freestyle that really escalated things. Fabolous, Jim Jones, Maino, and Dave East decided to turn their beef with 50 Cent into a freestyle over his own beats. Fabolous even joked about renaming their podcast to Let's Squat About It after 50 called them broke squatters. One of Fab's standout bars reportedly referenced both 50's show Power and rumors involving his former partner Daphne Joy. The freestyle was titled Squatters' Rights, a clear nod to the squatter accusations 50 had been throwing at the group online. They rapped over 50 Cent instrumentals, including beats like Window Shopper and I'll Whip Ya Head Boy. That made the message even more direct. It wasn't just a diss. It was an intentional act of disrespect using his own sound against him. After that, 50 Cent shared a cryptic message that many fans took as a warning shot aimed at Fabolous, Jim Jones, and Dave East. In a social media post, Fif suggested that he was not going to carry negative energy into the new year. But fans already knew what that usually means with 50. Silence from him is often temporary. Calm online usually means he is plotting the next move. And sure enough, that storm came. Months later, 50 Cent and Max B released a diss track targeting Jim Jones and his podcast crew in a new video for No More Tricks, No More Tries. So 50 didn't just clap back with memes. He moved from trolling into music again. But even before that record dropped, he had already been going after Jim Jones on Instagram for weeks. He reportedly posted surveillance footage of Jim allegedly trying to break into his own studio after supposedly getting evicted. Whether fans saw it as comedy, trolling, or full-scale humiliation. The message was clear. 50 was not letting this go. Maino responded to the diss with an Instagram post that read, "Goddamn, you made us wait 4 months for this. Let the games begin." Then, on March 11th, Maino followed up with his own diss track, "Bleed Like Us." So now add an entire podcast crew for established New York rappers who sent a message to 50 Cent over his documentary and ended up locked in a months-long war with him. They left him a message, and he answered again and again and again. While 50 Cent was already in the middle of all that with the Let's Rap About It crew, another rapper decided to enter the ring. And this one raised the stakes even higher. Because this time, 50 wasn't just hinting at bars or memes. He was hinting at another documentary, one that could bring even more heat. This time, the target was T.I. and his wife Tiny. The back and forth between 50 Cent and T.I. had been bubbling for years, but it recently boiled over again when T.I. challenged 50 Cent to a versus battle. Instead of accepting the challenge, 50 shot back by calling Tip King Rat and telling him to keep my name out your mouth. That immediately set off another chain reaction. T.I. responded with music. One of the most talked about songs to come out of the exchange was The Right One. On that track, T.I. took harsh personal shots at 50, even bringing up 50's late mother and his baby mama Daphne Joy, who was later romantically linked to Diddy. Once that happened, the beef moved out of playful competition and into a much more personal space. But then things took another turn, and this is the part that had the hip-hop internet buzzing. After helping produce a Netflix docuseries about the abuse allegations surrounding Diddy, 50 Cent appeared ready to shine a similar spotlight on T.I. and Tiny. The rumored project would reportedly explore past allegations connected to the couple. On Thursday, March 5th, 50 Cent added fuel to the rumors with a now-deleted Instagram post. The post included a screenshot of a headline reading, 50 Cent reportedly developing surviving T.I. and Tiny documentary, and many fans immediately took that as confirmation that something real might already be in motion. But it was the caption that really grabbed people. In it, 50 wrote, "Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy doc? Dame thought I wasn't coming. I hope this doesn't mess up your promo tour. They're going to ask about your 20 sexual assault cases. You might want to talk to a crisis PR person." That caption did a lot in a few lines. It referenced the silence before the Diddy documentary, it invoked Dame Dash, and it suggested that T.I. should be nervous about what might be coming next. The implication was obvious. 50's silence is part of his strategy, and when he gets quiet, people start to worry. T.I.'s response was not to back off. If anything, he went harder. He remained outwardly calm while tensions with 50 escalated, and after 50 posted, then deleted, the message about surviving T.I. and Tiny, T.I. fired back in his own way. He posted a video of himself performing his single Let Him Know in the street and paired it with a sharp caption. He wrote, "We can go bar for bar, hit for hit, or doc for doc. Either way, all you going to do is show how much of a fan you is. Let's play. Nobody fears you over here, boo-boo." Then T.I. dropped another track called Trauma Bond, which included more pointed lyrics that many listeners saw as aimed directly at 50 Cent. And from there, the conflict stopped being just about 50 and T.I. alone. It began spreading into family territory. What started as versus talk turned into something much messier when 50 Cent posted photos and AI clips dragging T.I., Tiny, and even the Harris sons into the drama. King and Domani got involved on songs of their own, and suddenly the feud became one of the most chaotic family-centered rap conflicts fans had seen in years. In an interview, T.I. even pointed to the moment he felt things had gone too far. He said the line had been crossed when his son King appeared on social media wearing a t-shirt with a picture of 50 Cent's mother on it. At that point, it wasn't just music anymore. It was family, legacy, and personal pain all being dragged into the public arena. So T.I. left 50 Cent a message. In fact, he left multiple messages through songs, social media, interviews, and performances. And 50 Cent left T.I. a message right back in the form of a possible documentary that could dig into allegations that have followed the T.I. and Tiny name for years. T.I. said he wasn't afraid. 50 said the quiet was part of the plan. And the entire internet has been watching ever since, waiting to see who blinks first. Now, if you think the story ends with the Let's Rap About It crew and T.I., then you are missing the bigger pattern here. Because 50 Cent's documentary didn't just upset a few rappers. It seemed to open the floodgates for every rapper who had unfinished business with him to speak up, pile on, or reignite old tension. Apart from his issues with T.I., 50 Cent has also been tied up in beef with Papoose, the Let's Rap About It podcast crew, Dame Dash, Benzino, and others. Let's start with Papoose. The latest round of tension began after Maino, Fabolous, Jim Jones, and Dave East publicly criticized 50 over his role in the documentary. Papoose saw an opening and jumped in. He posted an AI-generated video of 50 Cent dancing in heels and used the caption to accuse him of deflecting and dodging smoke from Maino, Fabolous, and the rest of the podcast crew. Now, Papoose's beef with 50 didn't come out of nowhere. There's a deeper history behind it, and much of it runs through Remy Ma. Despite Remy's ties to Fat Joe, who has long been connected to a different side of New York rap politics, 50 Cent supported Remy during her prison stint from 2007 to 2014. He reportedly even wrote letters of appeal to judges in her case and helped support her in her post-prison life. Since then, Remy and 50 had maintained a close relationship. But Remy had also been with Papoose since 2004, and the two married over the phone in 2008. Over time, things got messy, especially once their relationship reportedly fell apart in 2025. 50 had previously made flirtatious remarks in Remy Ma's direction, and that apparently never sat right with Papoose. By 2026, the tension was no longer subtle. On March 11, 2026, Papoose escalated things by releasing a fully produced diss track titled Agent Provocateur, along with visuals posted to Instagram. In the song, he attacked 50's street credibility, challenged parts of his origin story, and mocked his authenticity. 50's response was pure trolling, exactly the kind of response fans have come to expect from him. The G-Unit Mobile reportedly posted an AI-generated image of himself standing in front of a whiteboard. On it was a message saying, "You make one hit record and I'll respond. Until then, go hang out with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, LOL." Then there's Dame Dash. Dash posted that he was working on a documentary on Supreme McGriff with Supreme's son. And that was bound to strike a nerve, because Supreme is one of 50 Cent's oldest and most serious enemies. 50, who was shot multiple times early in his recording career, has long blamed Supreme for allegedly putting the hit on him. Supreme is also closely tied to other people 50 has feuded with over the years, including Ja Rule and the later Gotti. So when Dame Dash linked himself to that world, even indirectly, it added another layer to an already volatile situation. Dame had reportedly tried to smooth things over at one point, but 50 shut that down. 50 took to social media and made it clear he was not interested in peace, and once again he used the internet as a weapon. From that point on, any chance of collaboration or reconciliation seemed to disappear. Dame Dash has also taken shots of his own, linking up with Papoose in posts and reviving some of the old Rockefeller-era energy that has always hovered around New York rap politics. Even Fivio Foreign weighed in. The New York drill rapper appeared frustrated that 50 was going after older New York rappers instead of building unity or focusing all his energy on his Atlanta rivals. So by this point, 50 Cent is simultaneously beefing with Jim Jones, Maino, Fabolous, Dave East, T.I. and his family, Papoose, Dame Dash, Benzino, and others. Every one of these rappers, in one way or another, left 50 Cent a message. Some did it through diss tracks. Some did it through interviews. Some did it through social media posts. Some did it through edited photos, AI clips, or trolling. They all made their displeasure known. They all took their shots. And many of them eventually stepped back, moved on, or shifted their attention elsewhere. But 50 Cent, he stayed right where he always stays. Still online. Still posting. Still trolling. Still producing. Still plotting the next move. And that is what makes 50 Cent such a unique figure in modern hip-hop. It's not just that he can rap. It's not just that he can troll. It's not just that he can produce television. It's that he can juggle multiple beefs at once while simultaneously building media projects, maintaining relevance, and turning conflict into content at a scale almost nobody else in rap has ever managed. He doesn't forget. He doesn't let go. And almost everyone who sends him a message eventually learns that the hard way. Now step back and look at the bigger picture, because this isn't just about beef anymore. This is about 50 Cent turning himself into something hip-hop hasn't really seen before. a documentary mogul who uses his platform, his grudges, and his media instincts to shape how the public sees the people around him and the industry itself.